Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm your host GL, and today I'd like to talk about melting point. The melting point is simply the temperature at which a solid turns into a liquid at standard pressure. We determine it by heating the substance and recording the temperature when it starts melting and when it completely melts. That range is our melting point. I like to explain this to my students using chocolate as an example. We've all left chocolate in our pockets or cars on a hot day, right? Around 32 degrees Celsius, it starts getting soft and melty. That's its melting point. But here's the cool part: while your chocolate is melting, its temperature stays constant even if you keep heating it. It's like the substance is using all that heat energy to break up its crystal structure instead of getting hotter. Pretty neat. The stronger the forces holding molecules together, the higher the melting point. It's that straightforward. Think of it like a huge game of Jenga, but with molecules. Some molecules are like Jenga towers built with super strong glue between the blocks. That's like ionic compounds such as table salt, with really high melting points. Others are like loosely stacked blocks with barely any connection. Those are like butter or wax, with low melting points. The stronger the glue between molecules, whether it's ionic bonds, hydrogen bonds, or other intermolecular forces, the more heat energy you need to break them apart. The main factors are molecular size, shape, and the types of intermolecular forces present. Let me break this down with a fun analogy. Imagine you're at a crowded concert. Small people can move through the crowd easily. That's like small molecules with low melting points. But if you've got a group of tall, bulky football players trying to move through, that's like large molecules. They need more energy to get moving. Then you've got people holding hands in the crowd. That's like hydrogen bonding or other intermolecular forces. The more people holding hands, the harder it is for anyone to move around. Same with molecules. Impurities typically lower the melting point and create a broader melting point range instead of a sharp, specific temperature. It's like trying to build a perfect brick wall. That's your pure substance with a clear melting point. Now imagine someone throws in some rocks, sticks, and random pieces of metal while you're building. That's like having impurities. They disrupt the perfect arrangement of your molecules, making it easier for the structure to fall apart or melt, and harder to predict exactly when it will happen. This is why in chemistry labs, we actually use melting point to check the purity of substances. Pretty clever, right? Increasing pressure typically raises the melting point of most substances, with water being a famous exception where higher pressure actually lowers its melting point. I love using ice skating to explain this to my students. Ever wondered why you can skate on ice? When you put pressure on ice, like with your skate blade, you're actually lowering its melting point right at that spot. That thin layer of water under your skates is what lets you glide so smoothly. It's one of those rare cases where pressure reduces the melting point. For most other substances though, it's the opposite. More pressure means molecules get squeezed together more tightly, requiring more heat to break them apart. And by the way, if you are enjoying the video so far, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button. It really helps support the channel. And it only takes a second. Tungsten has one of the highest melting points at 3,422 degrees Celsius. That's why it's used in light bulb filaments. On the flip side, mercury is liquid at room temperature with a melting point of -39 degrees Celsius. Let me paint you a picture of these extremes. If tungsten were an athlete, it would be like that super dedicated gym buff who won't break a sweat even in a sauna. It takes tremendous energy to get it to melt down. Mercury, though? It's like that one friend who shows up to practice already warmed up and ready to go. It barely needs any energy to get moving. And here's a fun fact for my students: the substance with the lowest melting point is actually helium. It stays liquid even at temperatures approaching absolute zero unless you put it under pressure. It's like that one hyperactive kid who just won't sit still no matter how cold it gets. Melting points are crucial in everything from cooking to manufacturing. They help us know how to store food properly, make different types of plastics, and even create specialty alloys for specific uses. I got into chemistry because of cooking. It's just kitchen chemistry after all. Think about making chocolate chip cookies. The butter needs to be soft but not melted. The chocolate chips need to melt just enough to be gooey but not completely liquid. That's all about melting points. And here's a cool industrial example. Car engines use oils with specific melting points so they stay liquid even in freezing temperatures but don't break down in the engine's heat. It's like finding that perfect Goldilocks temperature, not too high, not too low, but just right. If you're looking for exercises to test your knowledge, there is a link in the description for you. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the video so far and want to see more content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.